Hello and welcome back to the Skift Travel Podcast. I'm Skift's Editor-in-Chief, Sarah Kopit, joined as always by Skift's Head of Research, Seth Borko. Hey, Seth.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Sarah.
So with the 33rd Olympiad, aka the Olympics, set to kick off in Paris in just about a week, we're going to be doing a bit of a mini-series for the next few episodes focused on the games. This week, we're starting off in style, interviewing Ben Smith, CEO of Air France KLM, an official partner with the Paris Olympics.
And Ben has some serious aviation bona fides. If you don't already know who he is, it's a really sterling resume. He started his career in Canada in the early 1990s, eventually rising to become president and chief operating officer of Air Canada in 2014, before being named the first non-French CEO of Air France KLM in 2018. And that is a very big deal indeed. He's really thrived as Air France KLM CEO, helping to navigate everything from labor disputes to COVID-19. Air France KLM reported record profits in 2023 under his watch.
And just as an aside, I can confirm that Ben is a dyed-in-the-wool aviation nerd. In the spirit of living the Skift brand, I was actually waiting to board a flight almost immediately after we recorded this podcast at LaGuardia Airport. And, Ben actually asked me, he's like, "Where are you?" He put on his glasses and he was looking at the renovated terminal at LaGuardia Airport. So, this man is genuinely interested in all things aviation.
And it was really amazing to speak with him. I know you enjoyed it. I loved it. There's so much going on with Air France to get ready for what will be a really awesome event. He let us in on some of the preparations for the games, why Air France KLM found it so important to be the official partner of the Olympics, even though there's going to be some opportunity costs associated with the games coming to Paris, maybe a little less revenue than initially forecast. It's still going to be a very big deal and a very successful event. So in a nutshell, Air France KLM and Ben Smith is very big on the games and the exposure that will come from being such a prominent sponsor. We also got the opportunity to talk about a bunch of other stuff, not just the Olympics, but what it's like to be the CEO of a major airline in 2024. And there's a lot going on and a lot to talk about. One of my other favorite topics besides the Olympics was about sustainability, which is a huge growing topic in aviation. He talked about the need for there to really be a level playing field so that all airlines can implement sustainable aviation, in a level and fair way. And talked about, the difficulties with, connecting from planes onto trains, that great keyword for aviation nerds or transit nerds, intermodal. That's a tough one, but means getting your bags checked from an airplane to a train. Lots of really fun stuff to talk about with the really interesting CEO. Talked a little about first class, Sarah, right? That was a fun one.
We did. That was a fun one. So here's our interview with Ben Smith. I hope you guys enjoy. So is Paris home for you?
It is now for about 6 years now.
Yeah. So are you looking forward to the Olympics?
Yes, it'll be my third Olympics where I've been involved in some way, shape, or form. But this will be, I think, very unique and special because we are a partner. We're an official partner, and we've been preparing for this for a long time. And there's a lot of unique things that the city has got planned for these games. So hopefully, if the weather holds up, all the plans should be able to come into motion, and it should be great.
Are you going to any of the events?
Yes. Well, so I'm definitely going to the opening ceremonies, which are going to be held on the River Seine.
Yep.
And each country that's participating will have their own float, I believe. And they'll float down the Seine, and we'll get to watch. We obviously don't know these countries.
Is that how they're going to come in?
Yes. So you'll have.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yes. So you'll have. There'll be seating all along the Seine and in different over the bridges as well. So all the bridges will be closed. So traffic will be horrific, but at least you have the chance to the opportunity to actually sit and see it. But so it gives a huge, like it gives. I mean, it's going to go. I don't know how many miles, but I think it can. I don't know how many thousands of people, but I think quite a few people will have the opportunity to watch this. Now, from what I understand, it's going to be amazing on TV as well because you can you're not static in one spot. Where if you're on TV, I guess the cameras can go up and down, and who knows how they're going to do it.
I love the Olympics. I'm really excited. I'm so excited to watch from the comfort of my Brooklyn living room. Um, so so one of the coolest things that I have read about the Olympics and how France is hosting is that the surfing competition is actually going to be in French Polynesia. So I'm curious if you're anticipating a run on seats to Tahiti, and is that actually a profitable route for you guys?
Well, it is a profitable route in normal times.
Yep.
Uh, it's the well, it's a one stop. We fly it over Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and France has been flying to Tahiti for decades, so it's not a new route. So during normal times, it's okay. I think whenever you host an Olympic Games, there's a lot of directionality. So for the home carrier, it's not necessarily a good thing from a revenue perspective for quality of revenue. So we're not expecting this to be a banner summer from a revenue perspective because of the Olympics. I think volumes are okay, but business people are avoiding Paris, as you can imagine. And also, hotels have really increased their pricing, so the city is expensive. So people were avoiding it a bit, at the beginning of, I guess, the booking season. But Tahiti,
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. If somebody has the opportunity to go all the way down there. I've never been to Tahiti, but it's on my list.
Yeah,
You've
right.
got to
Yeah.
fly it, Ben. If you operate an airline with a route there, next time you're in LA, it's an easy one stop, right?
Well, I mean, we fly to a lot of unique places. There's a lot of places that I'd like to visit. That's one of them. But it's not number one. I think there's a few that I'd like to go to first, and I won't share the name, but there's one in particular I'd like to go to first.
We
Come
need
on.
this scoop, Ben.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
No, no,
This is
no, no, it's because it's a city I can't even pronounce. It's in Africa, so I okay, you know what? If I can't pronounce the city, I've got to go.
that that Ben honestly is part of what I love about the Olympics and the Olympics parade. I love seeing all the flags, and Sarah is true to the form of this interview in an airport right now. That's like one of my favorite things at an airport is seeing the departure boards and all the planes and all that stuff, and thinking about all the different places you can go.
Sarah, where are you? That airport looks awesome with those windows.
I'm at LaGuardia Airport, the new LaGuardia Airport. I mean, LaGuardia was an absolute, I mean, it was true. It was an absolute embarrassment before, and they rebuilt it. And like from the ashes of COVID, I'm in the Delta Terminal C in LaGuardia Airport. It's amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That dates. I mean, that was a. You
I
remember
know.
that was. I shouldn't say this,
Yeah.
but you're too young. But that used to be the Eastern Airlines shuttle terminal, and then, and then it evolved over time. And then there was Northwest and Delta built a terminal next door, and then U.S. Air was there, and then it all connected, and then Delta took it over. Now they've renovated it; it looks beautiful.
Yeah. $8 billion at work, huh? So there you go.
Well, look back on the topic of Olympics, and we were kind of talking about that. Like you said it's not going to be a great summer because of the Olympics. I think you put out an official statement. You're going to lose something like 175, maybe $200 million this summer because of that one way traffic and that deterrent effect of the Olympics. But you're an official partner. Like why sponsor an event that's going to hurt your business?
Well, it's we're going. What we announced was revenues will be lower than expected, so
Yeah.
we're not anticipating a loss
Sorry.
summer. So we're just
Opportunity cost of
expecting
revenue is
revenues
what I
to
meant to
come
say
in
more
lower
specifically, right? Like
than what
lower than you would have expected, right?
let's say yields. As I said, the business traffic is avoiding Paris and is avoiding Paris not just during the Olympics but prior to the Olympics and after the Olympics. And we didn't expect that to really to that for that to be the phenomenon. But we were an official sponsor because the exposure is. I mean, there's going to be billions of people looking at these games, and we're based here. We have France in our brand. We fly all over the world. It's a unique way to get our brand out. So we're very happy to be sponsors. It's a once, at least for me, it'll be once in a lifetime opportunity because the games haven't taken place in France in I think 100 years.
Yeah. So we've heard a lot from, tourism ministers, other spokesmen for the games that, exactly what you're saying. There will be a bit of a deterrent effect um, on Parisian tourism during the games, and that France and, in Paris are playing the long game here. I've Seth and I were talking yesterday. We've heard that they're going to play, is it the beach volleyball right in front of the Eiffel Tower. So there'll be shots of the Eiffel Tower while beach volleyball is going on, which honestly sounds absolutely incredible to me. But, the fact that tourism and the hotels don't seem to be booked probably as quickly as they have been, or a lot of the numbers that we're seeing coming out, I'm wondering if you're feeling like it has been disappointing to see how kind of like how the numbers are shaping up as we're getting into the final weeks here.
No, I think maybe to put it in perspective, I mean, last year was just unbelievable. Last summer, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, Paris. I mean, France is the number one inbound tourism market in the world. So you're starting from a very, very high bar. And last year just blew it out of the water. So hotels,
Yeah.
restaurants, I mean, we were able to see yields that we've never seen. So this year is not a bad year. It's just not, it's coming in a little bit lower than we expected. I mean, this is going to
Yeah.
be an amazing, amazing event. Like amazing. I mean, the Olympics are absolutely fantastic. It's an amazing city. I hope you could say we're an amazing airline. So we're super. I mean, yes, we're a little disappointed over some of the forecasts that we made. But to put it into total perspective, we're really, really excited. Like really excited. I think anybody who has the chance to participate is going to have an amazing time. I mean, because like what they're saying, like the two other games that I participated in, the atmosphere in the cities that are lucky enough to host the Olympics, it's magical. It's and you have the entire world watching because they've got their own team there. Team USA is going to be here. They're going to be by our partner Delta. They're the official USA partner, so we've got them as well. And you guys, I'm sure, will be rooting for all your favorite stars or your players in the different sports that you follow. And everyone's got their own sport. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So a bit of long-term gain, and we won't even say short-term pain. We'll say short-term, lesser than initial forecast is the keyword, right? Not quite the slogan.
Yeah,
but still strong.
No, but from a what this is going to do for France, for Paris, for ourselves, it's going to be all positive.
Well, actually, can I ask a little bit about that? I mean, Paris, like exactly to your point, like Paris is already the number one tourist destination in the world. It's an incredibly busy city. You, of course, run Air France and KLM. Amsterdam has long-term been a very busy city. We're seeing like a bit of pushback against over tourism and mass tourism. We saw this protest in Barcelona. We saw government is limiting slots at Amsterdam's airport. It's Schiphol, right? I sound like if I say Schiphol, I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
No. It's a Dutch name, so I think everyone can pronounce it however they want. And unless you speak Dutch, you're not going to get it right. So I don't speak Dutch, so I'm sure I mispronounce it all the time.
But the bigger question is this: is over tourism? Yeah, we'll give everyone a pass on their Dutch on this podcast for this podcast only. But the bigger question is over tourism like an existential threat to your business? Like, can you continue to grow at Charles de Gaulle and at Schiphol as hubs, or are those guys come into capacity?
Well, okay. Well, CDG, Charles de Gaulle, has still a lot of excess capacity. It's the only major airport in Europe that still has capacity. There are 4 parallel runways here. We've got just under 500,000 movements, and this is unconstrained. To give you an example of the busiest airport, well, in the European area, since they're not Europe anymore, but London, at Heathrow, they're just under 500,000 movements with 2 runways. So you can imagine how much room there is to grow at CDG if demand continues. Amsterdam, there is a cap on movements, 500,000, which is being contested, and there's an effort to reduce noise around Schiphol. But when you look at the challenges that we see, we've got at quite a few airports, Schiphol in particular, big pressure to reduce noise impact. So we're refleeting as quickly as we can. That has the biggest, quickest impact. We don't want to get caught in a political game where you say, okay, less flyings and bring less noise. I think it's quieter airplanes that should be able to do that. And, the government has an aspiration to bring down noise levels by 20-25% in the short to medium term, and all the new technologies. So 320 Neos or 787s, A350s. The noise levels are about 50% below. So we think we can handle that. In the Netherlands, we're not seeing a big pushback from a tourism, over tourism. In France, it's the same thing. There are obviously some lobby groups that are not pushing for more tourism. It's more on the environmental front that we see the challenges taking place here. It's putting taxes or charges onto our industry that we may not have seen in the past, and putting restrictions around the way we operate. What would you call it? You have curfews for noise, that type of thing.
Stick around. We will be back for more of our interview with Ben Smith after this break. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about sustainability and SAF specifically. It's wildly expensive. It's hard to find. It's hard to produce. And I'm just curious, can you possibly rely on this for your sustainability initiatives and still make money? I think that's like the $1 million question, right?
Yes. I think it's going to be a huge, to decarbonize our industry is going to cost a lot of money. I think everyone's been able to identify what it will take to get to net zero, but it's how quickly and at what price. The way we look at it was, okay, the price will be what the price is. It'll be via new technology or via new fuels, and what percentage that'll be between the various methods for us to decarbonize. But what's most important to us as a European-based carrier is that we're on a level playing field. We already have, like U.S. carriers, we already have a lot of disadvantages over Gulf carriers or some other jurisdictions. So if we can get confirmation and comfort that our decarbonization efforts and the pressures put on us to decarbonize are going to be done on a level playing field. Okay, so the market across the world will have to absorb. Will that impact demand in some way, shape, or form? I think if it gets more costly, yes. But there's still, I think global aviation and the global market, global industry I think it's there to stay. I know it's there to stay, and you'll have to maintain links. So for us, it's just how fast we can get there. Level playing field is important for us, and to instead of tax, to incentivize us to decarbonize, incentivize us to be able to buy new airplanes that are quieter and less polluting.
And I know a big piece of the decarbonization is also, to an extent, substituting flights on short haul routes. And I know you've changed your short haul network in France quite a bit to rely on trains. I mean, could you maybe talk to us a little bit about that? I know you think you have a partnership with SNCF, but this is a crazy question. Would you ever buy a train company and build out a train part of Air France, or?
Well, first of all, the France is a pioneer in high-speed rail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big company, and it's a government-owned company, so I don't think that's in the cards. But there is a SNCF station at CDG Airport. It's already there with the tracks, and we already have high-speed trains going through the airport. So the infrastructure in France is way ahead of many other countries. So you can get to Marseille in 3 hours. You can get to Lyon in less than 2, to Lille, to Bordeaux, and eventually to Toulouse. And these are the major metropolitan areas in France. Our ability to connect, if not the majority of France, into CDG via train into CDG is going to happen. Already we can do quite a few of these routes. We have Brussels to CDG as well. We've canceled all of our flights from Brussels to CDG. So I think when you look at European airports and airlines that are using intermodality with the trains as a way to connect the hub, I think we're ahead of many, of all airlines. So yes, I think we will deepen our partnership with SNCF. I think where we need to do a better job is connecting baggage to make sure customers don't have to, it's not cumbersome, the security processes or, immigration and that type of thing. That we have to work on so that when you're getting on a flight or a train, let's say in Marseille, that you could connect as if you're on a flight. That would be ideal. What would be really ideal is if you could, clear security in Marseille, check your bag in, and not have to see it. That would be ideal. I think we can get there, but when? So that would be fantastic if we could do that. Like it's not that complicated. Just, you gotta get.
Sounds pretty complicated, actually.
Well, like if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
That's true.
So let's talk a little bit about consolidation. It's been a big topic, and I'm just curious, like just between friends here, who are you going to buy next? Who are you buying?
We have to make more money. That's the
Yeah,
question. You can't buy anything without more money. Without money, well, look, the U.S., as you know, is 90% of the market is in the hands of four players. In
yeah.
Europe, that's not the case. So there's three big groups that have multiple brands. We have three brands. IAG has five, and Lufthansa has five, coming on six with ITA, or the former Alitalia. We've bought a stake in SAS, which gives us the exclusive right to buy the majority share in 2 years. So that would be a fourth brand for us. There are four independent carriers, 4 or 5 independent carriers that are, not big carriers left in Europe. They could be of interest under the right circumstances. But as far as the medium haul, these are low cost carriers that are doing quite well. So, would those models work inside a group like ours? To be seen. As far as consolidation goes in Europe, I think there are some small carriers that could join up with one of the three groups. But there are no British Airways that are independent, or Lufthansa's or other Air France's. And we have the biggest inbound market, and we have the best transfer hub in Amsterdam. So we're in a good spot. And when you look at the size of Air France, KLM, our international ASMs, or ASKs as they call them here, we're one of the biggest carriers, the biggest groups. We have more long haul airplanes than, let's say, American Airlines. Air France KLM, 175 long haul airplanes. It's a big fleet.
So, I mean, you obviously can't tell us. I mean, unless you change your mind in the next 10 minutes, who you're going to buy right here, right now. But like, if we were going to play like a dating game, right? We're going to have Tinder. We're going to swipe left. We're going to swipe right. Like, what do you look for? But what do you look for in a partner? You've said you have a lot of long haul, so you're probably looking more medium haul, more short haul. Are you looking for? You wouldn't be looking to fill like a transatlantic haul. Would you be looking for low cost? Would you be looking for full service? Would you be looking for brand recognition, or I don't know? How would you think about what kind of airline you'd want to buy?
Look, I think we don't want to merge or buy anything or an airline
Okay.
just for the sake of scale. For us, it's got to help us improve our margins. That means by having are there enough synergies that could be created through a merger or a buy. That's what drives the
Mm-hmm.
main decision. And then strategically, how do we make sure we stay relevant and we don't get marginalized? So maybe in the short term, it may not be accretive, but you say, okay, in 3, 5, 6 years, if your major competitors are much bigger and they're able to buy airplanes at lower rates because they buy more airplanes when they go into to try to sign corporate deals because their networks are more diverse, will that put us in a more difficult position? You have all that to consider. So you say, okay, if there's an airline that you want another network carrier, let's say as an example, so okay, do they have a concentration in a geography that you're not number one? And if you secured that geography as part of your or access to that geography as part of your portfolio of routes, that could be very interesting. Like what price and how hard would it be to integrate? With their customers, they fit into the marketing programs that you have. So your loyalty plan, does that align? No, and does it have to be in Europe? You can look at some of our competitors. They bought interests or they bought airlines outside of their
Yeah.
home continents. So it's not just in Europe. So
It,
there's an interesting
I mean,
option.
you talk about looking for like markets that you like, and not to get too networky or marketing-y, but like, I mean, SAS, like, are you saying like Northern Europe would be an interesting geography for you? Clearly, that's where you've got that ownership
Well,
stake there.
Northern Europe was interesting because we already have a very strong position there through KLM. KLM is in many cases the best link to the world via Amsterdam for a lot of secondary cities in the Nordics. Same thing with within the UK. Many UK small cities, their only way to link to long haul is via Amsterdam. They don't have a flight in many of these cities to Heathrow. So we've been able to, at KLM, penetrate a lot of these secondary cities throughout Europe, and that's what drives the KLM model. What was nice about SAS is they've got point of sale strengths in a massive way in some of these bigger markets, secondary markets, where there may be choice. And they had the airline was underperforming for many reasons. One of them was because they were not part of a transatlantic joint venture. And we really like them to join our joint venture with Delta, which we think can add a lot of synergies for both for both KLM Air France and for SAS. So different reasons. So the Nordics, of course, we think there's a big opportunity there for revenue, taking revenue away from our competitors, and for improving our hubs.
I'm curious about the Nordics. We've seen a lot in the press and heard a lot of coverage this summer, especially about how climate change is making it so much harder to visit some destinations, see the European heat wave. There was the tragedy in Mecca. But the Nordics, on the other hand, we've seen a lot of talk about how that might be the next big destination, especially in the summer because it's cooler up there. Do you buy that? Do you think that's actually a legitimate trend, or something that you think passengers will actually open their wallets and fly and go to the cooler climates in the summer? And are you planning around that or strategizing for a possible Scandinavian boom in the summer months?
Look, I don't think we're going to have a boom per se based on what you just described, but no, we do see growth, and we do see people that are more interested. Obviously, it's a fact that there is slow global warming. We see that.
Yeah.
But here, certainly, this, I'm not going to say this is it's perfect science. Here it's been an awful summer, freezing.
Yeah.
You certainly don't need air conditioning here this summer. But no, I think it's for many reasons, Scandinavia is becoming more interesting for inbound tourism. And I think you're right. I think you see what's happening in Greece. I think you see certain areas that have historically been very popular tourist destinations with global warming. It'll be a little, it may not be as attractive for some as it would have been in the past.
I, for one, am very excited about my Delta flight from LaGuardia, or not from LaGuardia, my Delta flight to Charles de Gaulle, then on to Trondheim, Norway, for this vacation. Okay.
And so why did you choose to do that?
I want to do it, but it just looks beautiful. It looks gorgeous, and in the summers it looks amazing. And I want to get up to the Arctic Circle. That's my goal. Well,
in the summer it's daytime all day and all night. So that was a surprise for me.
It's going a bit crazy. Yeah.
When is it going to get dark?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get that in New York.
No, we get dark here. One of the things we were talking about, Sarah and I were prepping for this, we were talking about it. Neither of us have ever flown first class. So we've flown business, when we're lucky, or when I'm lucky. Sarah maybe a little more than me, but never first class. But you've got this this new La Premiere cabin that you're redesigning, right? And that's going to be basically a first class product.
It's not new, so
it's not new, but you are relaunching it, right? Or have relaunched it.
Yeah. So Air France has had a first class, or the French translation for first class is La Première. And so Air France has had a La Première cabin for decades. So going back,
it even sounds fancy when you say it like that.
Oh, it's very fancy. It's very, it's absolutely the best, and so much so. We've put an enormous effort into maintaining its exclusivity and ensuring that the experience from when you make your reservation all the way to when you pick up your bag, or when we deliver your bag to you, you don't pick anything up, is equivalent to a private jet experience. And a lot of airlines have not been able to deliver that, or not been able to in the minds of consumers, view that the brand that that may want to put it in service can actually meet their expectations. So there's no more first class. Any of the U.S. carriers, they have not been able to charge what's necessary. Many airlines around the world have not been able to support it for many reasons. One, either the product is not good enough, or they can't keep investing in it, or they're located in a jurisdiction or a city that can't support it. Now, London Heathrow, obviously, it's the biggest European financial market, so there is business there. There is in Tokyo, there is in Hong Kong. It's surprising that in New York, the biggest financial capital in the world, that none of the carriers are able to support it. It's only the international carriers. And I can tell you, I mean, if you get the chance, if Skift starts making a lot more money and you guys can insist on flying La Première, that you can try all the products around the world, that ours is the best. And no, because look, think about it. We have the best wines, the best champagne, the best food, every single thing that's associated or that we put into our La Première is absolutely fantastic. We have a Michelin starred chef who runs our lounge in Paris. You know, you want to spend, and we have a Sisley spa that's there, so you can come and have a massage. You can have a facial before you get on the plane, and you don't see anybody in the terminal. So you asked me the question, new product. So we're bringing out a new product in December. It's going to be much bigger than the one we have today. It's going to be a separate seat and a separate bed. So you'll really have space of a lot of space. Be very, very spacious, and we have a lot of customers for environmental reasons who have access, or they own a private jet and say, I don't need to fly it today, or I can't justify flying half the way around the world. I'm going to buy a La Première ticket, which is it's very expensive, but when you compare it to a private jet, it's reasonable. And some people, no, but this is true. They may have to go with a colleague or somebody that they don't want to talk to for 14 hours. And you can
That's fair.
You can create this 100% privatized space from floor to ceiling. You don't have to talk to anybody, and you have enough space. So you know what? If you we're going to actually have a big reveal in December, so we'd be happy to invite you to come to that.
Well, Seth.
Yeah, and we'll be showcasing all of our food, everything we have to drink. I won't tell Rafat. You can really enjoy yourself.
There you go. There you go. It's a deal. We're there.
Okay, we're all there, and we'll make sure that you have a really good time. And I'll try to pronounce all the products we have. Us non-French people. See if we can not just destroy the names or the words.
Well, speaking of that, so when we were prepping, last question for you here. I was curious. Do you have a different personality when you manage all of these teams? Because we were thinking of like the cultures between, the different culture of France versus, perhaps, the KLM side of what you do. We were just very curious about how it is blending all of the different kind of aspects of your job when you're doing it.
And the way we're set up here is these are two national carriers. So the national carriers in the U.S., there were never any national carriers in the U.S. because they were always all private. But the flag carriers, or the de facto flag carriers, were Pan American or TWA, and they don't exist anymore. But when you have these two national carriers like Air France or KLM, there's a lot of emotion, amongst the the individual citizens of both countries. So you have that as when you've got these flagship carriers that stand for many of the attributes and cultural aspects of a country. So to answer your question, you have that to deal with. So it's a bit overwhelming, and sometimes it's good. In France, I would say that the bulk of French citizens love Air France. They love the SNCF, even though they're not always reliable, but or maybe on strike. But these having that kind of support is really special. And so we're when you have these different brands, so Air France and KLM, they're actually owned by the same company. So sometimes people like to think, oh, no, we're still a separate company. We are proud Dutch or we're proud French or this. They're owned by the same holding company or group that lets these brands totally, sprout and progress and really shine on their own. So from a consumer perspective, they should come across as, independent companies, but from a financial perspective, they are part of one group. Whereas in the US, when there's a merge, one of the brands disappears and the two brands are put together. That's not what happened with us, and the same with all the carriers at Lufthansa Group or IAG, same thing. So as a dumb Canadian who understands North America, we're, even though Canada's not the same as the US, but at least we have a lot of similarities. I went to the US 12 times a year, 15 times a year, felt very comfortable. It was easy. We spoke the same language. Come over here, and it was just very different, very, very different, very fun, a bit of an adventure.
Yeah.
But I'd say what here in France, the biggest I'd say shock was the union environment.
Yeah.
Labor laws that are very different to North America, and you have ideologies all the way from communist, anarchists, all the way over to right-wing supremacist almost, and you say everything in between. So you have to sort of go back to school and try to understand each ideology to manage the business. But it's an adventure. You guys will.
It's an adventure.
When you come over for our reveal, maybe we can introduce you to some of the characters that I work with.
We would love that. Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. This was fantastic. And have a great Olympics.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on our interview with Ben Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we'll be transitioning from planes to hotels as we talk with Accor about what the Olympics means for hotel stays in Paris, Europe, and beyond.
And don't forget to send us any questions you may have to podcast@skift.com. Seth and I love to hear from you. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will hear from you and see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Skift Travel Podcast. Wherever you're listening, please make sure to subscribe. If you like what you're hearing, rate us 5 stars or leave us a positive review. It really helps get the word out about us, our podcast, and make sure that we can still continue to bring it to you free of charge every week.
If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. That way you'll know every time we have a new episode.